Okay, it'll be off case, a counter advocacy, and then on case. Contention 1. Human life must be valued over animal life in some situations. As Jean Cazez writes in her book Animal Kind, medical research that's lethal to animals has kept human beings alive. She believes that we do owe animals kindness and respect, but ultimately owe more kindness and respect to our human kin. She uses the example of a caveman about to spear an animal to feed and clothe his family. The animal has the right to be treated with respect, and not being speared matters a great deal to it. However, the man's family also deserves respect, and not going hungry matters to them a great deal. For her, the lesser being's death is occasionally tragically necessary for the higher being's life, and this is essentially morally right. Though my opponent obviously believes I would refrain from this type of argumentation, I believe it's valuable. Like he says, we should understand that while all living creatures have a right to be treated with respect, they are not all owed the exact same amount of respect. She essentially believes that respect should be proportioned to capacities. Human life should be valued over animal life because while animals have rights, their lives are not destined to be as rich. Animals do not maintain deep friendships, read poetry, struggle much with morality, or discover the laws of nature. They have the least to lose when it comes to determining how to best value life. Please understand that this is not a license to frivolously kill animals. It is simply the belief that in a situation where you have to choose one or the other, it is better to save the individual who has the most to lose by their death. Contention 2. Animal testing is essential to saving lives. A. Human life. There are several hundred examples of medicines and medical procedures that have developed as a direct result of animal testing. Without these procedures, hundreds of thousands of humans would have lost their lives. One of the most illustrative examples was the development of the polio vaccine. In 1952, a polio outbreak in the U.S. resulted in 57,000 cases, 3,000 deaths, and 21,000 cases of resulting paralysis. There were no protections and no cure. Jonas Salk began work in the 1950s with 17,000 monkeys to type virus samples. Salk himself found this deliberate infecting of monkeys hard to watch, and would often leave his lab to go to children's polio wards. Many of these children were disabled for life, and some were totally encased in early ventilators because of the extent of their medical problems. He determined that the only way to prevent more blameless children from dying was to sicken blameless monkeys. A vaccine was finally developed, and the researchers had met their goal, not of inflicting needless pain and suffering, but in keeping people alive and paralysis-free. Just as an early caveman would have been forced to kill an animal to effectively feed his family, we are sometimes forced to engage in animal testing to save lives. B. Animal life. Many of the results of animal testing have been cross-applied and extended to our household pets, zoo animals, and others. Vaccines like rabies and hepatitis were developed directly from animal testing and now benefit hundreds of thousands of other animals today. Under a utilitarianism perspective, animal testing truly benefits the majority because it saves hundreds of thousands of lives, both human and animal, for generations to come. We sacrifice the lives of a few to save the lives of many. C. No good alternatives. Currently, animal testing is our best shot, so to speak, at testing medicines and procedures most effectively and accurately. Though alternative methods exist, we cannot entirely cut out the use of animals for study. The California Biomedical Research Association notes that certain medical illnesses like blindness still cannot be studied in alternatives. They need to study living animals to determine the best courses of treatment for these problems, and without animal testing, we would have no means in which to do that. We do not yet have a good alternative to animal testing, and until one exists, we must continue to develop the best medications and medical procedures to save lives. Okay, the counter-advocacy. Instead of placing a blanket ban on all animal testing, the USFG should ban only cosmetic animal testing while allowing medical testing to continue. The one main advantage that stems from this is that it's morally correct to end testing that has no tangible benefit. This would be the most ethical action we could take in the field of animal testing because we are effectively saving more lives. We do not need cosmetic testing to save human life. Such tests are fundamentally evil because they benefit nothing except a shallow human desire for better mascara and shampoo. End cosmetic testing to preserve more animal life by keeping them out of cosmetic testing labs. We keep the benefits of medical testing while tossing out the unnecessary cosmetic tests. He also spends a lot of time talking about this performance artist. I looked up her video online, but the truth is that the acts depicted in the video and described by my opponent are not reflective of what animal testing is. It's actually pretty ethical in its method. Laws have been passed in the United States to require researchers to utilize the 3 R's in all procedures: reduction, replacement, and refinement, which essentially mandate that as few animals as possible be used, that they use alternatives whenever possible, and that they use techniques to alleviate suffering and stress on the tested animals all the time. Contrary to what my opponent wants you to believe, the lab researchers who test on animals are not bad people and do not want to see animals suffer. Additionally, they are required by law to to use the 3 R's to maintain safe, ethical, and ultimately humane testing.